help me welcome Ihunmehai Isaac. Okay, how you feeling?
Feeling excited, a little nervous. No, usually used to talk. Okay, I have to switch this on. But excited to be here. I'm used to you, so I know it's going to be a sweet conversation. So I hope you all enjoyed the film.
Yes.
It's great.
Right, you did that.
Thank you so much.
Spoiler alert, she's my friend, and I've known her since I was 8 years old. Yes, full circle moment. Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, immigration is something that's very deep, and I feel like if you haven't moved from one country to another, you might not be able to really relate to it. I mean, I moved my whole family, and I still felt like my world was like shaken apart. So my question to you is, can you share your personal journey of moving from Nigeria to America and its impact on your mental health? I mean, you talk a little bit about that in your video.
So I grew up in Benin, Nigeria, raised by my mom and my dad, three siblings. I was the only girl. And then I started off with accounting. I was going to University of Benin at the time in Nigeria for accounting, finished my 4-year degree. But I just felt that there was a missing part of it. I just felt like I wasn't expressing myself creatively. My dad is a sculptor, but my mom is more on the accounting side of things. So I thought to myself, I took a year off and I thought to myself, I'm going to try to lean more into my creative side, right? And I decided taking pictures, taking videos. I interned at a school of media and communications at the time. And then I saw how people react to some videos that I make. They were so excited. I did this documentary about people's birthdays, and you see the smile on their faces. And I said, you know what, this is what I'm gonna do.
And she's also a great teacher because she's taught me 10,000 times how to edit videos, and I never get it. So I just send it to her. I'm like, please, can you help me get into it? And she's like, what I've taught you before. I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think I feel like it's just like when you say someone is talented in something, like it just comes to me just like naturally. And I decided, you know what, something coming to you naturally is not enough. You need to get educated for this. So I decided to go to New York and I attended the New School Parsons. It's a creative school. And that's where I really refined my skills in producing, filmmaking, editing, and all of that. And the journey of moving from Nigeria to New York wasn't an easy one, but I think one thing that really helped me was that I lived in Lagos for 5 years. I don't know if there's anyone who's been in Lagos, Nigeria. It's very similar to the hustling and bustling style of New York. New York is very, a lot of people, it's a city, noises and all of those things. But in Lagos, it was kind of similar. So because I had spent that time in Lagos already, when I moved to New York, the shock wasn't as much, but I tried to adapt. I remember first few weeks in New York, I went for therapy, and I had to, I had to go for therapy because I know we'll talk about this later, but like, back home in Nigeria, and I know you mentioned a little bit, about like people with schizophrenia and other mental issues don't even have a place to really talk about it. Well, I seized the opportunity in New York and I went for therapy. And I remember the first day of, seeing a therapist, I cried. And she didn't even ask me so many questions. I was just crying for like 10 minutes straight because I just like so many things I had to unpack. But yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. That's something. I mean, I actually learned about therapy for the first time when I was at Douglas College. I was feeling some type of way and I didn't even know how I was feeling. I knew I was feeling sad, but I didn't really know to what extent. So I spoke to a friend and they're like, oh, we have a counselor. And I was like, what is that? what is that? So I went, and then the lady starts asking me questions, and I also cried too, because I was like, okay, so what's going on? Because it's something that I never knew about. Mental health is not even a conversation that's, being talked about. I mean, what are you going to tell your Nigerian parents that you're going through mental what?
Yes.
Mental nothing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So even for me with therapy, like I remember, going multiple times, and over time I was able to I felt more confident to phrase my words and share my experience with my therapist, and just grew from there.
Yeah,
So,
and maybe add to, because she said that she went multiple times, like sometimes you might not find the right therapist who is a good fit for you, so you have to keep trying, and I mean, it's costly, but you have to keep trying to find the right person. I know the very first therapist or counselor I had at Douglas College was the best fit for me. She was just so amazing. I don't know, she just knew how to bring stuff out. She knew how to make me talk, and changed a lot of things, because I remember I had issues with my schedule, trying to figure out my class schedule, and times I'll go to the gym or just do other things, but then she's helping me write my schedule, and an inside voice said, oh my God, you're 19 and you're letting this lady, do up your schedule for you. You're grown, right? And then I told her, I was like, oh my God, it's okay, I can do it. She's like, no, let me help you, let me teach you. And I think sometimes we don't allow people help us or teach us, right?
Yeah.
We're scared to be vulnerable, and we think that it's weakness, but it's not. It's just a way to help you cope and become the better version of yourself.
yeah.
So my next question is, what were the biggest challenges you faced in the beginning, when you moved?
That's a big one. I think, for a long time I was very conscious of my accent. And I think it really, when you sound different, you feel like you're not passing, what you're trying to say across.
Yeah.
And so I remember it was actually a lady who told me that I was working at the time, Ihum, you communicate very well. I can understand you.
Clear.
You don't have to, feel too conscious about it. And I think immediately I had that switch in my brain. I started I felt more comfortable. I felt free to talk. So I think that was one big one. Even till now, sometimes I remember I'll talk to you about, I don't think I'm communicating well and all of that. But over time, I think I've found my voice, and I've become more confident in how I sound, because it's who you are.
It's who you are.
I grew up in Nigeria. That's how we sound, and it's okay, So, so that was one big one for me, and I'm glad I was able to go past it.
Yeah, I think my real accent comes out when I'm angry. I know. I still have an accent even when I try to speak clear and everything, but when I'm angry, my real accent is gonna come out, and I don't care. How did your expectations of life in a new country compare to reality? Because there's so many things that oh my God, so I do I do other things in the community, and as a community leader, people come to me with problems, and problems I think I'm not qualified to comment on. Some could be marital issues, saying since I moved here, because I'm not married, so why would I give marriage advice? And so, well, some people come here and say that since we moved here, my spouse has changed. We actually thought that things were going to be better, but now it seems like we're heading down the road of divorce, right? So some things that we actually imagine or envisage, saying, okay, when I move to Canada, things are gonna be all right. But let me tell you something, when you move to Canada, there's some kind of cold in the airport that's gonna blast your face. If you're not well equipped, but yeah, so if you're not well equipped, right, it's going to be quite, difficult to acclimatize to the new home that you're coming into. So my question to you is, how did your expectations of life in a new country compare to reality?
It was different. I absolutely thought, I'm going to be, relaxing when I get to New York, the lights, beautiful out there, just be enjoying all the time. But that was not the case. There's so many things I had to learn. I had to learn the systems of the place. I didn't grow up there, so I had to learn how to take the subway. I remember I got lost multiple times taking the subway. I had to learn, I had to also find community, and that takes a while to find community. You have to go out, you have to meet people, you have to be friendly. I remember remember I didn't even see the reason to smile. There's one time, like I used to smile, but no, someone corrected me, like smile, because it's, because people feel invited. So there's some things I had to intentionally start doing to, like to feel warm, so people can talk to you, because sometimes, I don't want to like sling bang you about our country or anything. Sometimes, things can be hard and that can impact your mental health. And because you feel, you're struggling so much and anything, that kind of maybe reflects on how you interact with people.
Yeah.
So I had to be very intentional about those things. And then, living in New York, what were my expectations? I think generally I knew I was going there to work because I was going for school. So I had to, be very on top of my academics and all of those things. But at the same time, I also had to work, because I was leaving home and I was going to be living by myself. At least in the video, I showed that I was living with my aunt at the time. But of course, I had to step up and become more independent. And being independent comes with bills, So I had to, of course, go to school, do well in school, interact with professors, interact with my classmates, but also find work. And, combining those two things together was not easy, but I'm glad that I was able to do that, because challenges can be a stepping stone to your success. So.
I mean, you mentioned support systems.
Yes.
What support systems have you built, like now that you're, living in New York? Because for me, I find that community is everything. And that's why I do like what I do. I love community so much. I love being around people that look like me, people that don't look like me. I just love having conversations. And I even I remember when I was in nursing school, they said that my strongest point was talking to the patient. Because I was staying the whole time with you in your room, 30 minutes. We're chatting, we're talking, and then everyone's like, "Oh my God, you talk so much to the client. I think you should do their care, So I love community. I love people. I love being around people, and I love advocacy. And I think I've built a solid community in Canada with everyone here. It's just amazing to see. So what community supports have you built in?
It's so interesting you mentioned that, because I think I learned that from you. How you host events and you bring people together. So I think for me, I started stepping out too, meet people, go for events. I'll go on Eventbrite, find something that interests me, right? So I'm in the film industry. I'm a creative person. I find people in that space as well, because we would have a lot of things to talk about. So I was more intentional about those things, because if you stay home, you're not going to be able to meet people. You have to step out. So I started doing that more, talking to people, engaging with people and all of those things, and also volunteering. I volunteered for the United Nations at one time. I remember the first year of being in New York, I take pictures for them and all of those things. I remember you actually did a piece on that too. So I think just being intentional about moving around and meeting people does help you build community.
Yeah, and that's true, because yesterday we went for a retirement gathering. And sometimes I want to talk, sometimes I don't want to. And then I was grabbing fruit off the table, and then someone came up to me and he was like, "Oh, you're grabbing watermelon, hey?" I was like, "Oh my God, I don't want to talk." And then the next he was like, "Oh, so how do you know Greg?" Because he had his retirement party. I was like, "Oh, we collaborate a lot on projects and all of that." And then the next day I was like, "Okay." He was like, "What do you do?" And I'm like, "Okay, I'm a nurse." He's like, "Okay." And he's like, "Oh, well, I'm a filmmaker." And then she comes closer and she's like, "Oh, hi." And then and then they get talking, and then he finds out that she came all the way from New York for this event. And then he's like, "Oh, so she came all the way from New York." He's like, "Oh, so what are you guys gonna do when you're here?" And we're like, "Oh, I'm gonna take her to fly over Canada." And he's like, "Oh, I have a friend that works there." She's like, "Oh, can we get a discount?" And then he messages me this morning that, "Hey, when are you guys going?" I told my friend already, "I'm gonna give you guys a discount." So you see, community is just so amazing. I'm gonna ask you one last question. What piece of advice do you have for someone who was moving from across continents, right? Because we're pretty much worlds apart. So what piece of advice would you have for them?
I think one big thing for me was I held on very close to my identity. I didn't allow it go away. People who I haven't seen in years, and it's also a testament to that. We've known each other for over 20 years or more, but I kept them close, even people back home in Nigeria, because they remind you of who you are. right? Because when you go out to the world, sometimes you might lose yourself a little bit because the world can be like tough, But when people who know you from when you were a child or even like younger, they help you ground yourself. So I think staying close to people who help you ground yourself, your close family, your friends, all of those kind of things. So I think, just stay close to your identity. And, I think there's some things I've also done too in terms of community and mental health, like, for example, therapy and all of those kind of things. I think they help you also, if you've gone through trauma in the past, they help you heal. So I think finding resources, being around the same kinds of people who, for example, if you're a filmmaker or if you're a nurse or if you're into mental health, like find that community and contribute to that community. And then before you know, you're expanding. So
yeah, that's amazing. I would also just add, and I'll say like join like clubs that you think can help you.
Yeah.
Because I always talk about like joining like a speaking club, Toastmasters, where I have some mentors in the room today, who have actually like shaped me to the woman that I have become today, and are able to correct you and let you know, hey, you can do this better. So mentorship, I'm very big on mentorship. Mentorship like literally, changed my life. So yeah.